learning versus studying. If I want the best result in the test from my students, what should I choose? Learning or studying? I would like to first ask ourselves the first question, which is who? Who studies and who learns? Well, who studies? Normally it's the student. The student studies, well, it's his occupation and it's written in the name, right? So if it's written in the name, then who learns? A learner? That's not an occupation. So really, who learns? In French, the verb to learn is apprendre, and it's written A-P-P-R-E-N-D-R-E. I mean, it's like pretty much the same in Spanish and Portuguese, aprender, right? So the first 6 letters of these words are also the first 6 letters of an English word. Apprentice. So if apprend is learn, then the apprentice is the one who learns. I mean, exactly the same way as a student studies. It's written in the name. So now we have a student studies and an apprentice learns. I have an exercise for you, if you don't mind. It's very easy, very simple, but it has to be done with a certain energy, very, very fast, okay? If you are watching this video for the first time, please do it, because if you wait for the second time, then you will lose all benefits. You really have to do it with us right now, okay? Ready? So what's going to happen is that I will say, please imitate me, and I will count 1, 2, 3. I will make a movement, and you will imitate that movement. It's very, very simple, very easy. Okay. Ready? Let's do it. Please imitate me. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Now we are going to do a second time. Same thing, but this time I am not going to watch you. You're on your own, okay? I'm not going to watch. Okay, ready to go? Good. Please imitate me. 1, 2, 3. Stay there. Very good, very good. We are going to do it a third time. I promise it's the last one. This time I am not going to ask you to watch me. I'm going to give you an assignment and you do it. Very easy, very simple, still with the same energy, very, very, very fast. Ready? Okay. Please raise the same hand as me. Same hand, huh? Good. I will comment on this, but first I would like to ask a second question, which is how? How do we study and how do we learn? The way we study, generally, there is a teacher who gives an instruction, a lecture, and gives an assignment. And the students analyze the assignment, research it, and produce a result. And that's the way, generally, we study. So now, who learns? To answer the question, I would like to mention the series The Crown, produced and created by Peter Morgan. Peter Morgan and James Graham wrote Season 3, Episode 6, in which Prince Charles' Welsh teacher says, and I quote, "We learn through imitation. Like everything in life, if we pretend we are something long enough, we might become it." I would like you to remember, we learn through imitation. But because now we know who is learning, the apprentice. So the apprentice learns through imitation. Actually, traditionally, that's the case. The apprentice has a master who shows him how to do the job. The apprentice imitates the master over and over and over until he becomes a master. And that's the way the apprentice learns. Result, we have a student studies through lecture, an apprentice learns through imitation, imitating the master. Now let's go back to the exercise that we've done. The 2 first times I asked you to imitate. That means I was the master and you were my apprentices. And you produced a result instantly, both times. The 3rd time we did it, I was the teachers and you were my students. You analyzed the assignment that I was giving you. Let's say he's asking me to raise the same hand that I understand. Which hand is he raising? The left hand? Fine. And then you researched it. Where is my left side? If I can remember it. And sometimes it's not so obvious. And and you raised your left hand, right? Okay, so the first observation here is that if we want a fast result, learning is not a bad option. But let's go a little further. Let's talk about education. Education has always been around since before the Romans. But the public school system has first been created by the king of the Franks in the 8th century. His name was Charlemagne. And the school system that, as we know it today, started a little bit more than 200 years ago. So for the last 200 years, and let's say really since Charlemagne, the 8th century, we have tried to improve this and to get a better result. And we have, produced reform after reform after reform, all the way to no child left behind, putting pressure on all the parties, the students, the teachers, the schools, and the parents, the taxpayers. And we are still unsatisfied with the result, even after putting financial pressure, like the last time, for the students and the teachers and the schools. And still, we are unsatisfied with the result. So what have we done since the 8th century? We have changed many things for the good. We have improved a lot, very positively. We have changed, among the things, we have changed the curriculum, Latin, no Latin, French, please no French, just to bother Macron. We have the mathematics method has changed, the reading method has changed, we have changed the schedule, we have determined that the class period should be 56 minutes long for maximum attention. We have changed the grades. When I was a student myself, we were graded 0 to 20 points. And 1 year it was decided it was too much pressure for the students, so we decided to adopt the American system of letters, A, B, C, D, F. All these changes have actually been about content. But there is content and there is form. And the form, since the 8th century, has always been the same. A teacher giving a lecture in front of a group of people. Yes, there have been a few trials, a few good things happening in pre-K and a little bit in elementary, but that's it. Otherwise, no changes. So the good question would be if by changing the form we could get a different result. Let's go back to the exercise that we've done. The first time I asked you to imitate me, I raised my left hand, and what? Which hand did you raise? The right hand. There is no right or wrong here, because actually it's just about me to ask the result I need from you. That's all. But let's assume I needed a different result. Then what are my options? I have two solutions. The first solution is to give up. Give up master and say, okay, that doesn't work, imitation doesn't work, let's go and be a teacher. I will put pressure on myself to give a good instruction, a perfect lecture. I will put pressure on you, my students, to understand me better and to research more and to give me a better result. I know that's what I've done for centuries and it doesn't really work. I have lost people's interest along the way, and the result is still uncertain. So I said, it's great. I mean, the system is fine. I'm still producing a few geniuses. And by the way, thank you for watching me now. But let's say if I want a global result that is better, let's try harder and go back to imitation. Go back to being a master. What did I do to get a different result from you, because we did it twice, right? I didn't change anything in the content. It was still, please imitate me, the three same words. I please, 1, 2, 3, the same counts. And I raised my hand, the same hand. What I did is I turned. And I raised my hand, and you raised the same hand, the left one. I got a different result. I changed the situation. I changed the form. So I have a little story in favor of the form. When I was 16, I had a wonderful English teacher. Actually, I had one even better before, but this one was special because of what happened in the class. Monsieur Vettel was the English teacher, and he was a teacher. He was teaching through lecture. We had a paragraph that we would translate. I mean, he would translate it because we were all very bad at English, and he would ask us a few questions, which would never get any answers because we were all very bad. I mean, all of us terrible. Actually, no, not all of us. One was not bad. He was worse. Well, I mean, generally you call these people dunces. So like all dunces, he was sitting in the back by the heater. He was the worst, but he was also the most honest. He was sitting there doing nothing, and he was thinking, this is ridiculous. Nobody is answering the questions. I can't answer the questions either. This is a waste of time. I might as well use this time more efficiently, lie down on the floor and take a nap. That's what he was doing. And Monsieur Vettel, who was very smart, was using this as a lesson for all, saying, please everybody, we are going to lower our voice. Of course, he was talking about his voice because we were not answering the questions, but we are going to lower our voice because Patrick, his name was Patrick, all Patrick needs right now is to take a nap, and we have to respect that. Okay? If I tell you the story, it's because Patrick became an excellent actor and had a very nice career after that. What did Patrick need to be more involved and learn? Because that's the goal. Patrick needed to be put in a situation, a form, in which he could speak out loud, make some movement, feel and react, because that's what an actor does. In a class of 20 to 30 people right now, what do we have? 2 people who love to study, generally called nerds. 2 people who hate to study, generally called dunces. All the rest also have a name, indifferent. But all of them, every single one of them likes to learn. We all like to learn, especially when we are young. What's happening now? A child enters grade schools, goes to quits before the end of grade school or after 12th grade. Takes a job, becomes an apprentice. He has a master, a boss, superior, whatever you want to call it. This person is a master because the master has mastered the skills before, and now he's showing the apprentice how to do the job, and the apprentice imitates the master over and over until he masters the skills and becomes a master. If he doesn't quit, he goes to college or university and gets a bachelor degree, quits, and goes the same route, apprentice to mastership. If he doesn't quit, he will get a master's degree, even if he has never mastered anything. He quits, gets a job, becomes an apprentice, imitates the master over and over, and becomes a master. If he doesn't quit, he will get a PhD and become an expert. So now, in the end, we have masters and we have experts. An expert is someone who talks very well about things he doesn't do because he has not mastered them. A master is someone who does very well things that he doesn't care to talk about. An expert will rarely become a master. He's too busy talking, and honestly, he's not interested. Don't ask a food critic to cook. A master might very well become an expert. We see them on TV all the time. They are athletes, doctors, all professionals. They have mastered their skills. Now they go on TV to talk about these skills or comment on other people's skills. They were masters and now they are experts. They talk. Let's not be confused here because some professions are about talking. So they had to master the talk. It's the case of lawyers, for example. Lawyers are masters. I mean, in France, when we address a doctor, we say bonjour, docteur. When we address a lawyer, we say bonjour, maître. And maître is the exact translation of master. So lawyers are masters until they become experts when they go on TV, right? Because experts do nothing but talk, because that's their job. Have you noticed how many senators are lawyers? Well, there are 66 right now, 66 out of 100. 66% of the senators are lawyers. So when lawyers become senators, they become experts. They talk and do nothing. Because it's their job. Well, I gave you a clue with the apprentice who learns. I gave you a key with the form. It's still very surprising to me that since the 8th century, in order to get a better result, we have only focused on the content and never on the form, even if the key has always been in front of our eyes the whole time. In the word itself, reform, we have never, ever, ever reconsidered the form. Reform. And there are forms. Oh yes, at least there is one, because it's been marinating up here for decades. There is a form that will put no pressure on the students, no pressure on the teachers, no pressure on the schools or the parents, and barely any pressure on you and me, the taxpayers. A form that will drastically reduce the inequalities in school and definitely produce better results. And the form is going to be for the sequel or the book, whichever comes first. Let's talk.